Let's also connect then with Mitul Kotecha, who's now joining in to talk a little bit more about the global picture. Mitul, good morning from here. Give us a sense as to how you're looking at what the potential outcome could be from the US Fed on Wednesday, because expectations are rife that the Fed could hold rates steady.
That's right. Look, I think the Fed is very unlikely to move on policy rates at this week's meeting. While there is evidence that the US economy is slowing around the edges and that disinflation is proceeding, it's unlikely the Fed has enough evidence at this point to cut rates. So we continue to believe the Fed will cut in September and then cut again in December, followed by 3 rate cuts next year. What we do think the Fed may do, at least, is open a door to a September cut, without explicitly saying so or hinting at. There may be some indications from the Fed statement this week that they are going to be open to cuts as long as inflation continues to move in the right direction.
Mitul, how are the markets reading into the political landscape now? It seems like it's going to be Kamala Harris versus Trump.
Well, that's right. Look, we've had a lot of political gyrations in the US, and markets have reacted very sharply to these as well. And we've seen some very significant dollar moves and US rates moves. I think, look, clearly it's still a very open race, and we have several weeks before the elections take place. And I think in that sense, it's still too early to give a strong indication of what to expect. Of course, if there is a Trump 2 administration, the risk of higher tariffs is that much more. And we believe higher tariffs globally and US isolationism, and especially tariffs on China, could obviously disrupt global trade. It could also mean a stronger dollar. And also at the same time, with a Trump administration, the risks of a fiscal deficit widening are even higher as well, which means we could see pressure on US bonds. But for now, look, markets are still, I think, still pondering the implications. As I say, it's as you mentioned, it's still, we may have a Harris-Trump ticket there. It could take some time for markets to ascertain which way this goes. The polls have been shifting since the stepping down of Biden from running for the next election. So clearly, there's a lot to play for here. But look, I think one of the big things that we're seeing more so in markets is a reversal of some of the carry trades, a big sell-off in risk assets, and a carry unwind that's having a big impact on some of the relatively higher yielding markets in Asian currencies and benefiting some of the low yielders.
All right, and give us a sense finally as to how you're looking at the overall sentiment shaping up for the global markets. Are there any concerns?
Yeah, look, I think there's clearly concerns. We just talked about one of them. It's the US political picture. There's geopolitical tensions globally. Risk aversion has picked up, and we've seen a big sell-off in some heavyweight tech companies in recent weeks, and that is certainly resulted in higher equity volatility. The stock rotation seems to be intensifying. On the other side of that, bond yields in the US have eased. That provides some relief. But I think it's still a tough environment. Investors are taking money off the table as we go through the summer weeks. And we've seen that in particular in the last couple of weeks, where carry trades have been taken off very strongly. The Indian rupee, for instance, has been a favorite carry trade for Asia currencies. And we've seen some weakening pressure on the rupee more recently, again, has been caught up in this unwind. So it looks like we may be in for a bit of a volatile period in the next few weeks, where we're still trying to get a good picture of what's happening on the US elections and the political picture, what's happening on the growth front, when and if the Fed cuts next. So there's a lot of uncertainty still in the market.
Right. Okay. Mitul, great to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking with us.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.